Howdy folks, Jamboree here, and welcome to another episode of The Church of Tim Curry, the show where we review a film starring His Holiness Tim Curry. Joining me is my co-host, Viva Becker.
Hello.
And in this episode, a film chosen by Viva is Garfield 2. In this film, Garfield's owner John has decided to travel all the way to England to propose to his girlfriend Liz. Meanwhile, a wealthy woman called Lady Eleanor has just died and is leaving everything to her cat Prince, played by the majestic Tim Curry, which outrages the pompous Lord Dargis, a servant who wanted to inherit the castle for himself. So Dargis attempts to drown Prince, who later ends up emerging from the sewer and becomes mistaken for Garfield by John. Nearby, Prince's butler ends up thinking that Garfield is Prince and takes him back to the castle. Garfield has fun being pampered at the castle, while Lady Eleanor's barnyard animals try to stop Dargis from getting away with his evil plans. Okay, so it's official now that Viva is no longer allowed to choose films for this show.
I don't know why you're saying I chose the film.
You did!
No, I specifically remember we were working out the schedule.
Don't turn this
we were
around.
working out the schedule for the year.
I was struggling.
No, you weren't struggling.
I was struggling, and I was trying to pick between two films, and you instantly said, hey, what about Garfield 2?
I think you said that, actually.
No! Anyway. So, out of me and Viva, only I've seen both Garfield movies, and I can actually say that at least Garfield 2 is not as bad as the first film, which is not a compliment whatsoever. This is still an awful, awful, awful sequel.
Yeah. Not very competently made. It seems like they sort of made the wrong choices for everything.
A lot of the complaints I will give to the sequel I can also apply to the first film. It's just that they're dialed up to 20 in the first film. But, like, Garfield 2 is just so cynical and so hollow. It is basically, let's take the original Garfield, slap it together with Prince and the Pauper, done, finished, print and published, over. There's no heart whatsoever.
It's just painful, man. It's painful. Even for kids. Because I remember renting this from the video store when I was a little kid, and I didn't enjoy it then either. I didn't laugh.
Okay, where do we even begin? I think we should start off with the effects. Because this franchise is infamous for having the most terrifying looking CGI cat in history.
Well, I'm
Garfield.
I'm just so confused by the choice that they made of making it live action and then just having Garfield be the only animated character. Like, there are reasons why you would use live action for a movie, and there are reasons why you'd use animation for a movie. And one of the main reasons for animation is so you can do things that you just can't do in live action. And this, if there was ever a story that called for animation and what you can do with animation, this would be it. And they chose.
You can swear.
They chose very.
This film is warranted it.
They chose poorly.
He just looks too disturbing. Especially when you put him next to all these real animals, he stands out even more, and you realize, oh yeah, he is a mutant.
Yeah, I mean, real animals, and then their mouths are awkwardly CG to make them talk.
Yes. Here's the thing. I think if they weren't going to go the route of, okay, let's just have Garfield and Prince be the only CGI characters, I'd say make all the other animals puppet then, if you're not going to do that, because it is so hollow and dead to watch animals that are clearly not actors having only their mouths be the animated part. It doesn't click. If you've got puppetry, you could at least have the rest of the body connect with the mouths in some way.
I mean, the only good animal actor in the movie was the dog that played Odie, and that's just because that was the only one untouched by CG. Because for some reason they had Odie, you know, he can't talk because he can't talk in the thing, and he can't talk in the comic. It's just kind of weird. I don't understand it.
It is. But yeah, Odie's adorable. Odie is one of the only good things about the first film as well. he's just so cute.
Doesn't he do like awkward tricks in that one though? Like
he does, yes, very awkward, and all the other characters are like, oh, look at him, he's so clever. It's like, no, no, he's not. You're just stupid and easily impressed.
See, that's what you need to be to enjoy this film, is very stupid and very, very easily impressed.
So just gotta smack a hammer around your head for 90 minutes and there you go. You'll enjoy Garfield too.
How about we talk about the mini jokes that they had that didn't land, because this is supposed to be like a kid's comedy movie.
Wait, this was a comedy? The things that happened, they were supposed to be jokes?
See, the only time that I laughed, the only good joke in the movie was when Google Play asked me if I wanted to rent it in HD.
Did you?
Why would I spend an extra $2 so that I can see the orange butthole dancing around better?
Oh, come on, you could have seen so much detail in Garfield's wonderfully rendered fur body.
You know,
you missed out.
At least with this cat character model, they took the time to animate a realistic furry cat butthole.
Great.
They did not skimp on the butthole. And you see it because he turns around and he shows you his butthole many times, which
Yeah, it does. But like I never ever believed that he was on the live action set ever or interacting with anything live action.
Well, they didn't try to make him look live action though. They didn't try to make it look good. They tried to I don't know what they were trying to do, but what they were doing, whatever they were doing, it didn't work.
Nothing connected.
Yeah, nothing worked.
Nothing connected, nothing worked. It's just, that's the kind of effort you get from the whole thing. It's like, whatever, just do it. Just put that there. Let's make that move. Move on.
Yeah.
There's no care whatsoever. So yeah. And the thing is, the guy who supervises the animation for both Garfield movies, Chris Bailey, he actually has experience and background with both Disney and Don Bluth. But yeah, my biggest problem with this film is that I just don't care about any of the plots. None whatsoever. I'm not fussed about the possible engagement because of the lack of chemistry between John and Liz. There's no camaraderie between the barnyard animals, so I don't care about them. I don't care about Garfield because he's annoying and won't stop talking, and it's hard to care about Prince because he's barely in the film.
It was rough, man. My eyes were sort of glazing over throughout. I mean, Garfield's supposed eyes were pretty glazed over the entire time too. They were soulless husks that I had to look at. I'm just disappointed with the way that I spent. I'm just so disappointed with the way that I spent my morning, you know?
But I think we should discuss Lord Dargis, the villain of the film.
Yes.
The wonderfully hilarious and menacing villain of the film.
Totally menacing. When he was taking his seventh crotch shot, I was like, oh, so scary, so funny. that is his whole character arc and everything about him. His entire characterization and all the jokes that he has are just him taking crotch shots.
Pretty much. And he's terrible at being discreet as a villain. Like, he's got people monitoring him and being suspicious of him, thinking, you know what, he might try and kill Prince, but at the same time they're like, maybe not. Let's keep our reservations for now.
Yeah, well,
just so the plot can keep going.
The lawyers, there's this group of lawyers that are suspicious of this guy, thinking that he's gonna kill the cat, and then there's a part where they literally see him right in front of them taking the cat and putting it in a bag, and then he's like, oh, I've just got some trash that I have to take out, and then he walks off with the cat in the bag that they just saw, and they're like, very suspicious. I wonder if he's doing something to that cat. I'm like, come on, you guys. Come on.
My biggest issue with Lord Argus, though, is that he is an awful, terrible killer. He will do half the job and then think, oh, he must be dead. Make sure! I know it's a family film, but the movie itself could at least trick him into thinking, oh, he's dead. But Lord Argus doesn't even double check. He just goes, oh, I'll just use that murder method and then move on. He's definitely dead. I don't need to check. Fuck you!
Yes, well, obviously, he had seen the Disney's Aristocrats before, Aristocats.
Yep.
And he basically rips off the beginning of Aristocats at the beginning of the movie. And I don't think he finished Aristocats because he just throws Prince in a basket in the water and he's like, that's good. He's dead now. Definitely gone forever.
Do not take Edgar as your inspiration of villainy, man. Don't do that. There's better Disney villains out there. Smarter ones. Come on.
At one point they show him surreptitiously picking up this knife, and I'm like, oh, the knife is gonna come back later maybe, and he puts Prince Garfield in a bag, and I'm like, oh, well, you've got this knife, why don't you just stab the bag a couple times while he's trapped in there, and then he's dead, and then you put him in a corner and you dispose of him later, and all your troubles are over right there, man. But
pretty much, but I don't know if they would do that in a family film.
He doesn't do it. Well, I don't. Hint at it then, at least. Like, have him take out the knife and like do the villain eyebrows at the camera or something. I don't know. Why show him having a knife if he never uses it?
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, so I think it's definitely important we talk about Tim Curry himself, considering this is the point of the show. But because we've watched the Garfield movies, it's hard to remember what life is anymore. Anyway, so my problem with Tim Curry in this movie isn't just that he's underused to the point where the film doesn't even bother giving him a top billing credit at the start of the film. Mm-hmm. It's that he sounds distractingly like Nigel Thornberry. And because of that, it causes two problems for me. First of all, when I look at Prince and I hear Nigel's voice, they don't connect. Mm-hmm. Because it's so distracting. And Nigel's voice doesn't fit the character of Prince. Prince is meant to be a much more refined character. And Nigel is quite dopey and silly, and so it doesn't really work with this character.
Yeah, I think I didn't really get that because I have not watched Rugrats before.
Wild Thornberrys.
Oh yeah, Wild Thornberrys. But I think what they were going for is they were trying to make him as aggressively British as possible, and you know, as is common knowledge, British people are just kind of silly. They're just kind of dopey, you know? Even when they try to be fancy, they're just so...
Right, okay. So I'm going to be contacting someone for a new host of this show. Right.
They had a very, you know, classic kind of American vision of what England is like. And that's why he sounded so stupid, because they were making him the English version or the American version of aggressively British.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, so.
And it's very overdone, but at the same time, Tim is one of the only saving graces of the film.
That's true.
You know, he doesn't seem like himself.
But he's probably just a little jet lagged.
I suppose I should probably force down a bite or two to keep up my strength. It does have a unique texture.
So, Liz, I don't know if you've noticed, but I've been kind of anxious to,
Why am I clapping? I'm sorry, what were you saying?
Oh, spot on. Never have I tasted its equal.
The only time
Which
I
is-
was having fun was when I was imagining Tim Curry in the studio saying lines like, "I'm his favorite kitty cat."
Yeah, that's the thing, is that this is something I've said before on the show, is that it doesn't matter what the material is. Tim Curry will sound like he gives a shit and sounds like he's having fun, and I don't think that Garfield 2 is an exception. It is one of those films where he is clearly like, oh boy, I'm going behind the microphone again. He just seems like he enjoys acting so much that even if it's like, oh, Garfield 2, splendid. I just can imagine him being like, fine with it. He just, there's kind of a charm to his lack of quality control sometimes.
Yeah, well, see, that's how you become the best part of all of these lower quality movies, is you just have fun with it.
He's like a hero.
Yeah.
I'm come to save your movie. I'm Tim Curry, man.
Well, I wouldn't call the movie necessarily saved, but
it does his best.
I would say that Tim Curry is almost single-handedly responsible for the very slight rise in quality from the first to the second movie.
Yeah. Even though I will admit that the voice doesn't work, I still feel as if that he is the most entertaining part of the film. Because it's Tim Curry at his best, in his A game, despite the material.
To be fair, I don't think that Garfield's voice really works very well either.
Excuse me, do you believe in love at first sight?
I was hoping you'd say yes.
You have made me so very, very cat happy.
Oh no, I've felt like that from the beginning. I mean, like, in concept, Bill Murray can work, but no, in action it doesn't, and you can tell that he's phoning it in. Because the thing is, from the beginning, he didn't really read the script all the way through. He saw that the co-writer's name seemed similar to one of his favorite writers and thought, oh, he's part of this. And that's how he's got involved with these movies, and you can always tell that he doesn't want to be there.
Nobody wants to be there.
No, true, but except him.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, an acting opportunity.
I mean, completely besides his voice, I think Garfield is just a huge problem with these movies, because he's kind of a snarky character, but there's more to him, and you have to still kind of like him for it to work. Yeah. He sounds soulless, he looks soulless, and he acts soulless. One of my biggest problems with the movie is that the turning point in the story where Garfield is supposed to change doesn't come about because he's far away from his home, or he misses his friends, or he misses John or anything. It comes about because the bird said something bad about him, and then he mopes around and he has this montage where he's sad because somebody said something mean about me. And you could so easily choose a more meaningful catalyst for your character arc, and instead you choose something so stupid.
Yeah. It feels like at that point it's an obligation. Like, Garfield's got to change at some point. You can't buy it because he spent the whole movie being a complete spoiled arsehole. You can't warrant a moment like that when you've not earned both our respect and our love for this character. We don't care.
Yeah, and I mean the other thing is one of the arcs that's going on with John and Odie, since they're separated from Garfield, is them trying to find him. And and when Prince shows back up, Garfield is like, okay, I'm gonna go back to my family, so why not just... I mean, they kind of half-assedly tried to throw in there that he missed John a little bit. He says his name one time, but then when he's soliloquizing about how sad he is, he's like, oh, people don't like me, instead of, oh, I miss my family, who I love. And they didn't buy any sympathy from me for the character before, but this was like their last chance to be like, oh, well, this guy was an asshole throughout the entire movie, but, you know, at least he loves his family.
Yeah. I think what doesn't work the most about that scene where he realizes people don't like him is that Garfield doesn't usually care what people think of him, and you can even tell that throughout this film. Like, he just has fun being himself. He knows how egocentric he is, and at that point, I even thought, well, why does he care? This is kind of out of character for him. He's not the kind of character who takes those sort of things to heart. He knows how selfish and lazy he is and embraces it, and that's one of the things that made people resonate with him.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that's supposed to separate his character from Prince's character.
Exactly, and that's another thing that didn't work. The thing is, when Prince is living Garfield's lifestyle, we're meant to believe, oh, this is completely new to him. But it isn't really. He's doing the same things.
Yeah, he's sitting around and eating.
Yeah, that's what he did at the mansion. There's not much of a difference.
And for some reason, he forgets about his old life really fast.
Yes.
Like, supposedly he cares about the other animals, and then he gets fed one lasagna, and then he's like, oh, did I have a home? Did I have friends? Yeah. I don't remember.
I don't get how lounging about caused him to do that when that's what he did back at the mansion.
Yeah.
How is that going to trigger some kind of amnesia? How does that work?
I don't know why that was in there either. It never comes back, and he sees one picture and he's like, oh, gotta go. Yeah.
Here's one thing I will give to the movie. It has quite the voice cast for all the barnyard animals. It's quite a lineup of British talent they have attached to it. Of course, everyone still sounds like they're phoning it in.
Yeah, I didn't even notice that the animal cast was talented, because they didn't sound talented and their lines didn't sound talentedly written. No. But it's something that, to get me through it, I was like, oh, it's Richard Grant. Oh, it's Bob Hoskins. Please save me. They didn't, but it was nice to know they were there. And I will admit this is interesting, but this is something that only people in the UK can really appreciate, is that the mouse is voiced by Joe Pasquale, and Joe Pasquale, his natural voice sounds like he's on helium.
I've been going to karate lessons, but because I'm dyslexic, it ended up going to karaoke lessons, right?
In the meantime, Claudius, you get into the castle and find out what Dargis is up to.
I'm on it. I'm your mouse on the inside.
I'll see what I can learn from my end.
So I kind of like that casting choice, and even he knows that's the voice he has. He talks about it in his stand-up routines. So that was nice. I thought, oh, okay, you took advantage of a very unique voice and put it in your movie, and a character that works. Okay, it's fine, but still a shit movie, but...
I mean, why recruit talent like that if the lines that you're going to give them are literally, I must alert the others, or...
He is very wasted, yeah.
Yeah, or just trousers. Just trousers.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, he's incredibly wasted, and it is a shame because I do wish that Joe Pasquale did a lot more animated movies, because he has that wonderfully unique voice that could be applied to wacky animated characters.
Alright, can you think of any ways that you could like save the movie? Because I'm just thinking of all of the chances that they had and how poorly everything was done. Like they put in a musical montage part. And you would think that if you're going to have a musical montage, it should be turning points in the movie. And the musical montages they have are, for Garfield, are when he first shows up and he eats a lot of food, and then when he goes to the kitchen and he makes lasagna, which doesn't make any sense to begin with, because why are all the animals in the kitchen? How do they just run around? Are there no people here? Animals can't make lasagna. Lots of those animals can't even eat lasagna. It's not healthy for them.
True.
It's just when I was watching that, I'm like, God, the music's not even good. These animals can't eat lasagna. Why am I watching this orange piece of shit running around the stage saying all these stupid things? It just made me so angry. How can anyone be entertained by this? The animals can read, clearly.
Yep.
They can make lasagna. They can talk, but the humans don't hear them. Why don't they just write a message in the flour or something? Or write a message with a pen? I mean, they say that they don't have opposable thumbs multiple times, and yet they continually do things that require opposable thumbs. So why not just take a pen and write a message to the humans and explain this whole thing and be like, this Lord guy, he's a real asshole, and just out of line, man. He tried to kill the cat so many times, and they bring it over, and the humans are like, oh, what's this? The animals couldn't have written this, and then the animals who can understand them and can write, yes, we can, and then they're convinced because the lawyers are fucking stupid, and it's just why, like, there are solutions to this movie's problems that are stupid.
They are ignored,
but
they are ignored because the film wants to keep going and it hates us. That's the only reason. Everything is just so contrived. It's always avoiding ways to resolve things so the narrative can keep pushing and pushing. Yeah, so final thoughts.
Don't watch it.
It's like the Ringo tape.
Yeah, go to England instead. Don't watch this movie. If you can't afford a trip to England, go on one of those like Google Earth tour things that you can do. If you want to experience the level of pain that you would experience watching this movie, I would recommend, instead of watching this movie, just do one of those Google Earth tours of England while shoving splinters underneath your nails, and do not watch this movie.
That is a very accurate simulation of this film. Okay, your rating?
3 out of 10.
That's very generous.
You're very generous.
Thank you. This is the worst movie I've reviewed on this show so far. It's a soulless and cynical cash cow that cares more about selling Garfield's name in its title than telling a well-meaning or competent story. It has dumb writing, unlikable characters, and painfully unfunny humour. This film failed to make me care about what was going on in its story because there was no heart behind its conception. Luckily, Tim Curry is his usual charismatic self, but even then, he's woefully misdirected by the filmmakers. I'm going to give this film a rating of 2 out of 10. I hope you all enjoyed listening to this episode of The Church of Tim Curry. Cheerio folks from myself and Viva.